transfer station, and this is where you're shown your life, all the good things, all the nasty things you did, and then you start life anew in a newborn baby. And there's several transfer stations around the Earth. I thought that big tower on the moon might have been a transfer station, and the reason I thought that is because Joe McMoneagle, who was one of the Army remote viewers, one day was tasked to follow the soul of somebody who died driving between San Francisco and Monterey. And he followed the soul, and it was going towards the moon. And the closer he'd get to the moon, he said that the soul was being wrapped in something, and he doesn't know what. It was, like a blanket, but being wrapped in something. And the closer he'd get, the message he got was, do not come here. This is not your place. You are not allowed to come here. And pretty soon, as they got closer to the moon, it became so loud and so threatening that he broke off the chase. And he never did find out where it went. About that time that I read that story, which is in Joe McMoneagle's book called Mind Trek, I came across Hoagland's picture of the giant cube on the tower in the middle of Sinus Medai, and I thought, well, geez, that's probably where it's going, because that thing it's pointed directly at Earth, always pointed directly at Earth, and I thought that might be a soul receiving station, but Sleeper says it isn't. So
okay. Well, actually, what I was remembering was the James Angleton files. Are you familiar with them?
As far as what?
Well, as far as, first of all, their existence and the fact that they're one of the biggest sources of historical information, and basically they were hidden, and they say they don't exist, but apparently that information that you're talking about that happened at Roswell and actually was at one of the other crashes nearby there, where apparently Einstein was brought down and to deal with the ETs and communicate with them, and that apparently, just as you say, if you took something out of the ship, it did return.
Is this James Jesus Angleton or another?
Yes,
James Angleton?
James Jesus Angleton. And all of this information is in some of the files, and some of those documents were sent to us at one time. We were told not to talk about them.
That's interesting. James Jesus Angleton was involved in the Kennedy assassination. He was chief of station in Rome when Israel became a state, and he and some guys from MI6 from England went down there and helped form the Mossad, and somehow he got tangled up with Mossad, so that when he was appointed chief of foreign intelligence for the CIA in 1960, his big effort for his entire career was to find the Russian mole, when in fact he was the Russian mole. He was passing all the information that he had to the Israelis, and the Israelis were passing it to the Russians. And the reason
really, I've never heard that.
And the reason they killed Kennedy was because Kennedy kept insisting on inspecting Dimona, which was the secret place where Israel builds its atomic bombs. And Kennedy was pressing Ben-Gurion to the point where Ben-Gurion finally in the summer of 1963 told Mossad, kill him. And then he resigned as Prime Minister of Israel, and it took Mossad 5 months to put the program together with the help of Jim Angleton. It was not a CIA operation as such, but Jim Angleton was able to grease the skids to give Mossad all the help they needed to kill Kennedy. And,
really? Well, but they used the mob, right? They used members of the mob as well.
Oh yeah, they used everybody. There were so many people that hated Kennedy that they were getting help from every place in that effort.
Incredible. Okay, well, I actually haven't heard in the past that James Jesus Angleton was part of that whole plot.
Well, there's a book out. Written by let's see, what's his name? I forget. Anyway, it's 600 pages long, and just the sources. There's 16 pages of sources for what he writes, and it's so thorough. It covers every aspect of everything that's ever been written about the Kennedy assassination, and this is the conclusion he comes to, and it's a fascinating book.
Very interesting. You familiar with the editor of the UFO files, Robert Sky? Trying to get his name. He was on my show just not too long ago. You know, he's an expert on the Kennedy assassination, and I'm just wondering if you've ever spoken with him.
What's his name? Robert. Is it Bob? Robert?
Yeah, it's Robert. It's something like Skywalker or something like that. Anyway, I'll look it up.
I don't remember having talked to him about it.
Morningstar. Thank you very much. I knew Star was
Robert Morningstar. No, I haven't talked to him.
Oh, you haven't? Because it'd be very interesting for you guys to compare notes on that. I'm curious whether he would agree with you on that. You know, on the fact that the Mossad was involved and that's where it came from. The actual order came from. You're saying the order came from Ben Gurion, right?
Yeah. And we are so involved. Israel is so involved in the running of the United States, along with the Nazis, that you know, the people that we elect, Obama and our Congress, they have little or nothing to say about anything that goes on. That's why so many of Obama's promises were broken, because when the President of the United States, his first day in office, a small group of people come in and they tell him exactly what's going to happen, and that's what he has to do, and there is no question about it. So when he breaks a promise, it's not necessarily what he wanted to do, it's what he's told to do, because it's the secret government that runs the United States. The President of the United States has very, very little to do with it. He's a figurehead. And as far as clearances, when people think that, you know, he could do anything he wants, he can't. As I think I told you before, there's 38 levels of clearances, and it goes from 1 to 20. Top secret is the lowest. Then it goes through 1 through 28, top secret crypto 1 through 28, and then there's 10 names above that, and the highest being majestic. And the President of the United States has a very low clearance, like top secret crypto 17. He doesn't have a need to know. The intelligence community and the secret government have traditionally hated people that are elected or appointed, so they don't let him know anything. And if he has to go to Groom Lake, they would come up with some reason why he can't go. Now, when people ask me what goes on Groom Lake these days, I think there are some secret projects that go on, but I think that they use Groom Lake to take Congress and different people there to show them some fake stuff, what they're doing, and they don't show them the real stuff. The real new Area 51 is 34 miles south of Wendover, and I found that. It took me 5 years to find it, and I've got it pinpointed exactly, and that's where a lot of the secret stuff is going on, most of the big secret stuff. Now, that's not the only Area 51 they've got others, but
well, what about the one in, I think, southern Utah? Isn't it called, someone was saying it was called Area 52. Have you heard that?
No, Area 52 is supposedly west of Area 51, and that guy came on TV here in Las Vegas. His name was, he's head of Roadrunners. He said that the Tonopah Test Range was called Area 52. And that's where they used to test the MiGs that we got. And what we were doing with the MiGs is we had one example of every MiG that the Russians produced, and what we were doing was measuring the output the noise output of those planes, so that what they could do when they were developing radar for our new fighters, when the blip appeared, the